welcome into Zach's Picks. I'm Zach McCullough. It's good to see you all here. Last week I went 11-1. I'm 33-8 on the season already. This week I've only got 9 games because the conference games are starting to add up. But there are some good games out here that I'll get to, so keep watching to see those. Well, we have one of the teams anyway, Ole Miss. They're on a bye week, so I won't be picking them. My first game is Georgia State at 23rd ranked Auburn. Auburn suffered a heartbreaking loss last week to Penn State, so I think they're going to want to bounce back. They're 27.5-point favorites. That's a little high, but when you think about it, they'll probably cover. Georgia State's a good team. They're not bad. They upset Charlotte last week, but I don't think that really matters. I think Auburn comes out here and wins big. I think they showed a lot in Happy Valley that they can respond well under pressure. I think if they don't perform well, they might not be ranked. That's probably on their minds. So I think they'll come out here and pretty much steamroll the Panthers. Next is Southern Miss traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama. Alabama is a 44.5-point favorite. How it ever got that high, I'll never know. I'm surprised. That's probably the highest I've ever seen it. Alabama, they've shown their true colors this year. Not as good as last year, of course. But they've gotten out to a very quick start, dominating early. But then they lose intensity and they don't play as well. That's what allowed Florida to get back into the game last week. So I don't think they're going to cover, but obviously they're going to win. Southern Miss is a good team, but they're not excellent, and their defense is really not that good. So I would imagine Alabama wins by about, I would say 5 touchdowns, 35 points to 38 points, in that range. Next, we have Missouri traveling to take on Boston College. Missouri's a 2.5-point favorite. Missouri lost a couple weeks ago to a very unimpressive Kentucky team. They looked pretty good against Southeast Missouri State, but that was because it was Southeast Missouri State. So I don't think Missouri's going to be able to perform much. Boston College, they have an impressive defense, a very good defense, and that's what gets it done. Boston College is going to come out here and win, I would say, by a touchdown. Next, you have Georgia traveling to Nashville to take on the Commodores of Vanderbilt. Georgia, I'm sure they think that they should be number 1, and they have good reason to think so. So I think they're going to come out here trying to prove something, and they'll look impressive. They're 34.5-point favorites. So I think they're going to cover that. Next, you have an interesting matchup, Kentucky at South Carolina. Kentucky's a 5.5-point favorite. Kentucky, they should be prepared. They weren't very impressive. They actually looked downright bad last week playing Chattanooga. But I think they get all that corrected up, and they should come out here and win by 2 touchdowns. South Carolina, I just don't think they're where they need to be to compete with the 3rd and 4th best teams in the division. They're on the right track, but not for now. Next, we're going to have Tennessee traveling to the Swamp to take on Florida. Florida's 14.5-point favorite. Florida's disappointed after losing last week to Alabama. Tennessee, they're just very unimpressive. You thought with Josh Heupel they might look better, but they really haven't. Probably better than last year, I would say definitely. But still, they're not a very good team. Florida comes out here and wins by 3 touchdowns. They're 14.5-point favorites, like I said. So I think they cover. Tennessee, I would say, is still trying to find their identity. Florida's found it. They just don't need to shoot themselves in the foot as much as they did last week, and they should be okay. Next, we have LSU at Mississippi State. LSU's a 2.5-point favorite. Mississippi State was shocked, and I would say embarrassed last week in Memphis. And I think they'll come out looking pretty impressive. They're going to look good. It's going to be an excellent game. But I think for LSU, it's revenge on the mind after being totally humiliated last year in Death Valley. So I think Mississippi State comes out, looks good. LSU plays good. Defensive game, low scoring, and that's why Mississippi State can't win. So LSU is going to win by a touchdown. Next, we go out of the conference to the game where game day is going to be this week. We have 12th-ranked Notre Dame traveling to take on 18th-ranked Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a 1.5-point favorite. Both teams are impressed. Both teams have looked impressive would be a lie because neither have looked impressive. Wisconsin looked better at times than Notre Dame, and at times Notre Dame has looked better than Wisconsin. So this should be a good game. I think Notre Dame is tired of hearing that they are overrated and they're not a good team. So I think they come out here and play with passion and beat Wisconsin. Next is the final game, and a very interesting game between 7th-ranked Texas A&M and 16th-ranked Arkansas at Jerry's World. A&M is a 5.5-point favorite. That's an interesting spread because it's close enough to where you would think it's going to be a good game, but it's not exactly as close as you would expect it for such a big game. So I think it's going to be a very hard-fought battle. I think Arkansas will get out to an early lead, but in the end, I think Texas A&M battles back with their backup quarterback, and they'll come out and win the game, and they'll cover the 5.5-point spread. I think looking forward for Texas A&M, if they can get Haynes King back to full health, they should be in a good position to challenge Alabama in that matchup in College Station. That's all I have for you this week. I'm glad you tuned in. Thanks to the Daily Mountain Eagle for hosting me today, like always. And I just want to say have a good week, have a good day, and God bless.